Hello, Facebook Live. How are you tonight? Melanie and Lair coming to you live for the third time in a row because I've been booted off twice already. And unfortunately, on my last attempt to go live, I was told that my Wi-Fi connection was choppy, and it was not possible to hear me. So before I dive into my spiel all over again for the third time, because I'm a trooper, but before I jump into the spiel all over again, I would like to confirm that in fact, we are able to create a solid connection here between us on this live stream, and that you're in fact hearing me correctly, and that maybe it's not even choppy. So, as you're listening to this, if you would be so kind to let me know how this is coming through. Are you hearing me nicely? Am I choppy? Am I clear as a crystal? What's the vibe? Let me know, because, you know, third time's a charm. This is what we're going for. I believe. Hello, Amy. And she's back. Yes, Tracy. Hello, Nicole. Hello, Lynn. Hello. Yes, Dasha, I am back. You can hear me, Jamie. This is good. Nicole, thank you. Hi. Hello, Camilla. Thank you for being back. You're such a trooper. Samantha, Cheryl, hello. You can hear me. Christina, you can hear me. Hello, Danielle. Hi. Coming in loud and clear. Sounds good. Good. Okay. I will preface this live stream by saying that this is actually going to be my final attempt this evening. That if for some reason this cuts off, I'm going to try again tomorrow, because I think at this point, 3 times is a charm, and if this is not the charm, then we will continue tomorrow. If you're watching me for the first time in your whole entire life, let me know this is your first live stream with me ever. If you tend to watch me quite a little bit, then I hope you would say hi, because we know each other and we're friends and stuff. And then if you're watching the replay, you can hashtag AlphaFem, and then I'll know that you watched the replay. I have a really important conversation to have with you. Okay. Let's see who else is on here. You can hear me this time. Yes, Karen. Hey, Hope, I'm so happy to see you. Suspense has been built. Thank you, Facebook, right? What on earth? Thank you, Shannon. It's coming through loud and clear. Thank you, Danielle. Hi, Julia. Okay, perfect, Hope, and we're back. Quartzy so far. Yay! Crystal clear, crystal quartzy, squeaky clean. Thank you for sharing, Danielle. Hello, Tiffany. Hi, Lexi. They are blue light. Thank you, Eva. Hello, Anne. Hello, Tandy. First in a while. Hey, Angel, so good to see you. Catherine. Tally. Hello. Record and YouTube and post there. Record and YouTube and post there. Yeah, maybe. Or I'm just going to trust. If it's not tonight, it'll be live tomorrow. I love the live energy. It's my first live. I'm so excited, from Sunshine Coast of Australia. That's amazing. Third tries the charm. Hi again, Lisa. Hi, Amy. All right. So, first things first. Last time I went live, I did a draw. And I asked everyone who shared to please let me know in the comment section when they had shared, because my team would put your name in a draw, and you would end up having your name in the champagne bucket of the universe. And one person on my next live stream would be drawn to win the beautiful AlphaFem crystal water bottle that's got the black obsidian inside. And so how it works is, it's got a black obsidian crystal inside, you fill it with water, it charges the water with powerful crystal magic energy, and then you drink it. And so usually these are on my website for $111 US, and basically one person, because of the sharing of my last live stream, gets this crystal water bottle for free. And so we've already done this live stream twice, and so spoiler alert, the winner is Sue Ruhe, or Sue Ruhi, or Sue Ru, R-U-H-E. So make sure you send me your shipping address so I can ship it to you. Now, if you would like to be entered in the draw today, all you need to do is share this live stream. Let me know in the comments that you've shared, and my team's going to grab all the names and put you in the draw. And if you have shared multiple times today, my team is watching, and so you will get an entry for every time you shared, even the lives that have crashed. Thank you for being on with me today. I I am very grateful. So good to see you all. Technically, it's my second time. So my first time was a few minutes ago. Michelle, perfect. Thank you for coming back. Ashley, Colleen, hello. Kara, hello. Jeanette, thank you, everyone. Okay, so important public announcement before I get started on today's live stream. It's a big topic. Today I'm going to be talking about how I took my business from nothing. In 2013, I was literally sleeping in the front seat of my Honda Civic just a few months from now, 10 years ago. And over the years, built my business slowly but surely as an invisible coach. I was a one-on-one coach, mostly for relationship coaching and mindset. And then I eventually created a really beautiful coaching business, a life coaching business, and started teaching people how to build life coaching businesses, and eventually took my business onto social media in 2016 and launched Alpha Femme in 2017. And since 2017, Alpha Femme just crossed $60 million career to date, which honestly does not still quite compute. It feels like such an incredible life change. My life really did change very fast. 5 years ago feels like forever ago and yesterday all at the same time. And it's been a masterpiece building this company. And it puzzles people quite a bit because it's an unconventional business model. I call it the art of business, or business art. It's an unconventional business model. It's not the way that people are usually taught in schools. It's not a conventional business model, but it is an extraordinary business model, and one that I've taught over and over and over again, has created so many successful 6-figure, 7-figure. Now I've got clients hitting 7-figure months. It's been kind of a wild roller coaster, but we're doing magical things in my world. And I've been asked so many times, what did you do? How did you do it? How did you get here? What was the big thing? What was the big shift? Like, how did you change this? How did you do this? And this question is so interesting because I think in a journey that takes 5 years, the question, how did you do this, is far too long to answer. And when I think of all the programs I've put together over the time frame of my success, I now have a plethora of programs that I offer. I would say that the way I did it is all the things that I teach put together. But I'm often asked, what is the number one thing? Like, what's the biggest thing? Can't you just tell us one thing, the biggest thing? What would you say? And so that's where this conversation kind of comes in today, because it's a big answer that I have. And it's so simple all at the same time. And I know that in certain times of my life, this answer would have grandly infuriated me. And so I want to just tell you, if I bug you in this live stream, I totally get it. I don't even know if I could have watched myself not long ago. It would have been like, you don't even know how hard things are for me with your all celebrations. It's just like, I would not have liked to hear how simple what I'm going to say is not long ago. And so for those of you who watch this and get really triggered and emotionally annoyed by it, I totally get it. I would have annoyed me too. And so I get it. And if you need to lead yourself off this live stream just for your own self-preservation, totally get it. On the other side, if hearing stories like this is like hunger, or fuels your hunger, or is like catnip for your soul, and you're like, this is what I need to hear in my life, I need to know that there are people that can just make miracles happen, show me more people, then you're gonna love this live stream. And so just learn to know when a space is right for you and when a space is not right for you yet, or when a space just isn't right for you, and act accordingly. I empower you, you empower you, I empower me, you empower you. We all empower ourselves. You make the right moves for you, and the world is a better place for it. Now, having said that, this is an incredible conversation that really does deserve to be shared. And I think the only reason I've been able to manage to actually get here where I am in the first place is because people shared with the right people. And so when you're listening to this, if there's a part of you that's like, this is for me, great. If there's a part of you that's like, oh, this is for a person that I love, a certain exact person that you know, or your entire network, please share. Either tag people directly inside the live stream, or either share this directly to your timeline, because the fact is, leadership conversations of this caliber are not often enough presented to the public, in my opinion. So if you know of someone who is an owner of a big company who's constantly having issues with management, if you know someone who's trying to grow in the ranks of a company and isn't quite getting the recognition that they want, or is having a hard time with their people that they're managing, if you're an entrepreneur and you have a lot of people that you're managing, if you're a leader of a company where you have employees that need to move and it's been difficult for you lately, or you just wonder if you could do it a better way. Anytime you have an experience of feeling like your leadership could impact your business, this conversation is going to make a big difference. One thing I've realized for myself is there was a time early on in my career, being an entrepreneur, but being a solo entrepreneur. So if you relate to being a solo entrepreneur, I think you might get this, what I'm going to say right now. But it's kind of this feeling where you're not really managing anybody. If you work, you get paid. If you don't work, you don't get paid. But there's no one to stress about paying. It's just kind of like, it's me. It's me. I'm a solo entrepreneur. And it doesn't feel like I've got anybody to lead. I just have to lead myself. If I can get on a live stream, if I can make an offer, if I can offer one more place in my one-on-one coaching, or if I can sell this product that I've handmade or I've hand poured, or it's like the solo entrepreneur business model where it doesn't feel like you're responsible for anyone. There's a mentality that's attached to that. And I didn't think leadership was really required when I was in that stage of my business, because it really just felt like all I needed to do was just do what I had to do and that's it. And so leadership was not a very big part of my mindset. But when I look at my company now, and beyond that, when I look at the people that I'm working with across all industries now, the people who choose my work at a higher level all have big companies, or at least companies where they've got people to manage, people to lead, or they're coaches and mentors where basically their entire operation is leading people and they got that. And so what's happening is that when I think of some of the programs that I have that companies will gladly pay their employees to take, the number one program that is the easiest for people to get their company to pay for is leadership coaching. Because every successful company on the planet understands that without leadership, we've got nothing. And so they will invest in leadership training without even thinking about it. When you think of any companies that have management positions involved, the first thing they'll make sure they'll be looking for is any kind of leadership training that they can supply for their team members. How do you get your managers managing? And how do you get your directors directing? And how do you get your leaders leading? You need leadership training. And people don't move without the right leadership. And so companies will invest so much in leadership coaching, leadership training. When I look at the people that are in my high profile containers, what will often happen is they have no question about how important leadership is. They're leading themselves, they're leading their team, they're leading their employees, they're leading everybody, and they want leaders in their organization so that they don't have to hold everything. And so they're looking not only to attract leaders, but hire leaders and train leaders and cultivate leadership within their companies. And so in companies where things are really working and moving, everything's about leadership. And in the companies where you're not yet leading the company you wish you had, then that doesn't feel like leadership's important. And I've realized there's a really strong correlation there. If people who are leading successful enterprises talk about leadership like it's the most important thing to talk about, and people who aren't leading businesses of the caliber they want aren't investing in leadership, isn't there something to look at in that? And I actually looked at this with my team where I was going through numbers, and I realized that leadership is actually to me, is one of the most important topics in everything that I teach, is one of the most successful things that I've taught historically across the board for the clients that I work with, very high touch, or for the companies that hire me at a bigger level. And it has been the most difficult to sell to entrepreneurs. It's the most important conversation, and it's the one thing people least invest in, because it doesn't have the shiny title of like, make cash now. It doesn't have the shiny title of like, get a bunch of social media followers now. It doesn't have the shiny title and the shiny, how to market your offer in 5 seconds flat and get 700 million people buying it from you, and how to be famous because you did that, and how to be rich. And it doesn't have that shiny tagline. It doesn't tend to get the people that buy this individually. When I look at my ratios for this program, it tends to be my private coaching clients. the clients that are in my high level mastermind and the people in my AFE, my Alpha Femme experience, which is my year-long container that end up in this container. A few people will choose it and a few people will lead themselves to this one program by choice. But I also teach about money and manifestation and all kinds of mindset work and relationship stuff. And so the funner, more enticing social media program or sales program or money program, people will jump into and be like, yes, I need this. This is gonna be exciting. I'm gonna be rich, I'm gonna be famous. I love it. But this one tends to not have that many people buy it in the front lines. However, people always tell me it's one of their favorite when they're done their year experience with me, or the people in my mastermind, my private coaching clients are like, oh my gosh, this program, I didn't even know that I needed it. It's not one that I did not buy the Alpha Femme experience for this program, and I ended up getting more than I ever thought I needed from this program. Thank you everyone for sharing. And my team's taking notes of everybody to go in the draw for the crystal water bottle. So thank you for this. And so what I realized is that I really honor this conversation a lot. And I really profoundly believe it's one of the most important conversations of our time. And I think it says something that a lot of companies don't last very long. The program is called Alpha to Alpha. And it's basically a leadership program of how to become self-led, attract self-led leaders, and then lead leaders. And so what I've realized over the years is that I really love this conversation. I think it's very important. I think it matters a lot. And I get kind of disappointed sometimes at how not as excited people get about this unless they've been in a round of it with me. Once they've done a round with me, they're like, I love this program. Everybody should take this program. But it's not the shiny thing. Leadership is not the thing people think they need. But don't you find it interesting that it's the thing that most companies will invest the most in is teaching their company leadership, and most of the companies that haven't quite led the company to the level they want don't. It's like there's something there. There's something about this. And so I've made a decision that Alpha to Alpha from this point forward is going to be something that's available inside the Alpha Femme experience. It's going to be something that's mostly pre-recorded. And so this next round of Alpha to Alpha is going to be it's going to be the last full live round, that's for sure. And moving forward, I want to create this program to be at the highest level of program, in the sense where it's going to be in a different kind of container with me. It's going to be something that's a 5-figure investment, because I realize that I want people to get the value of this. And sometimes just in the way I'm talking about it, it's just not the right people yet. Not the right people to take the program, because it's the right people to take the program. But I'm realizing it's not always the best people to buy the program. And I really want to give this so much of my time and energy, and I want it to be chosen. I want it to be chosen for the value that it has. And I think leadership is really such an empowering, important conversation. And so from the next round forward, this is not going to be quite as easy to join with me. It's going to be something that is a more high-touch conversation. It's going to be a more expensive conversation. There'll probably be a lot less people in the room, and it'll be probably like a $10,000 plus program. But that's not even expensive for the people who understand the value of a leadership program. So I'm really going to own my intuition around this, because this is one of the programs that I lead that I haven't changed the price much over the years. I was watching a live stream that I did. Somebody commented on something and it showed back up in my timeline. I'm like, oh my gosh, chicken nugget me, let me watch this. And what kind of blew my mind is that it was basically the same price back then as it is now. Where everything else in my coaching has up-leveled and my pricing around everything has gone up, this one hasn't. And it just gave me more validation in the realization that I keep not raising the price because people just don't quite get it. They don't get why they should take it. Once they've taken it, they get it. Once they take it, they're like, okay. But before, no. And so I'm realizing it's time for the people who really understand this to just effortlessly know that this is the real deal. I've led myself, my team, my clients to next levels of everything. Next level growth in social media, next level growth in business, in wealth, in relationships, romantic relationships, business relationships, like every kind of leadership you could ask for across the board. This is the most important topic to me. As a matter of fact, the tagline for Alpha Femme for the longest time was "She who leads herself." This whole brand I've built is around leadership, self-leadership, because what I really believe is that you can't ask a person to move that doesn't have at least a self-leadership spark. And that spark is often the thing people want to ignite in people. It's like, I want to ignite your spark. I want to ignite your spark. And it's like, I don't want to ignite your spark. That's not my magic. My magic is not in igniting your spark. My magic is in being the flame that sets your spark ablaze. It's like you can't start a fire without a spark. And so I'm not going to be the one to try to make you sparky. I trust that you're coming with spark, and with my flame in this department, we're going to set the world on fire. That's the excitement for me. And so I've realized that a lot of times people who misunderstand leadership think they're taking a program to find a spark. And so everyone who's got the spark and doesn't yet have the company that's ablaze, the perfect employees, the clients, like they don't have it on fire, but they have a spark, think they don't need the program or they don't need the leadership course because they already have a spark. They don't need someone to motivate them. They don't need someone to inspire them. They're already inspired. They already have a spark. Thing. The best leadership comes when you got the spark, you go to the flame, and the whole thing just, it's contagious leadership. But that doesn't happen unless there's something magical inside to light up in the first place. And so by the time I'm leading these trainings, I want to talk to people who already know they're meant to lead enterprises where leadership will be necessary. Not just a good thing, like, yeah, that should be good for me to have, like necessary. There's no way I'm going to treat my employees to my standard unless I've really mastered this. There's no way I'm going to have extraordinary relationships with my suppliers unless I've mastered this. There's no way I'm going to be chosen by the most self-led extraordinary clients if I haven't mastered this. And so I want to start early, and I want to start now because I want to foundationally be the most aligned, powerful leader I can be today, knowing this will be my most important skill going forward. And if you had the self-belief and the wherewithal to know that you're going to be a big deal and your stuff's going to work, it would be undeniably one of the most important skills for you to have. But if there's a fear that you might not get there, and you're like, well, it may just be me and my phone, so what's the point of being a good leader? It's just going to be me. Never going to become successful enough to have a team. I'm never going to quite be successful enough to have this, and I'm never going to be successful enough to have that. Then, well, you're probably right, because that means that you don't even have your spark yet. Or you may need a different kind of leader that's going to ignite your spark. But once you have the spark, Sparky, I would like to set the world ablaze with you. So how do you go from having a dream, like a big dream, and absolutely no reasoning whatsoever that makes sense that you would ever get there ever? Like, it makes no sense. How do you go from that to actually being beyond what that dream even was, in a reality far beyond everything you ever could have imagined? How do you do that? It's like, you've got to move. You've got to be willing to make mistakes. You've got to be willing to confidently take action on things and say, this is either going to work, or it's going to create something in my life that I'm going to grow from in a huge way. And I'm going to learn from my mistakes, and I'm going to be an incredible leader here. How do you have the difficult conversations? Like, I had such an infuriating mishap this summer with a company that we worked with for one of our properties to develop the aesthetics of our one of our homes. And the person that was in charge just paralyzed when it came to communication. He just could not explain that things were not going well. He could not explain that there was an issue with one of the builders. He could not explain that they were behind schedule with the materials. He could not explain. So you know what he did? He ghosted for like weeks. And it really put a huge pressure on the relationship of us with him, but also with all the other workers. Like, this company went from being, I would have given them 1 million star recommendations, to, if anybody ever asked me to work with them, I would feel really uncomfortable. I'd be like, uh-oh, Like I can't, although the work was beautiful, I can't recommend it because of the leadership. I've had incredible opportunities to invest in companies, and when I've gone through all the logistics, everything looks great on paper. It all looks good. The numbers look good. And then I meet the person who's going to be running the company, and I'm like, I can't invest if this is the person leading it. I can invest on the paper stuff, but there's no energy behind the person. I don't believe I could invest in this person to lead this company. So often people mess things up for themselves because they don't know how to lead through the hard things. They can't have the hard conversations. They can't take responsibilities for the mistakes that they've made. They don't have the energy to run an enterprise. They don't have the gumption, the magic that it takes to take things where they need to go. And they lose the opportunity, not because their idea isn't good, not because they're not capable, not because they're not good at what they do, but because they don't have the leadership qualities to see things through. And so with that, everything always stays just a little bit smaller than it's supposed to be. Because when it comes down to it, people who are strong, powerful, capable, they look for an equal power match with the people they work with. And so if you've got a great product and I'm like your dream client with my power, my influence, my money, my energy, like I'm it, like I would be the dream client, but then I come to you and you can't lead yourself, I'm going to choose somebody else, even if you could have been great. But if you don't have the energy, you don't have the leadership to sustain the connection, it's just not going to work out. Leadership is the most important thing. It's literally the most important thing. Yet we don't really cultivate leadership because I think we're in a catch-22 in the world. And I was talking about this in my Renaissance masterclass. I think we're in a catch-22 because if people actually understood leadership, it would be a lot more difficult to control masses if there were so many more leaders. And so it's probably best that no one really gets it and a few people break through. It's probably best to keep the leaders at bay for a controllable world. What I think, honestly, is that it would change the entire world if more leadership emerged. The right kind of leadership, obviously, but I think it would change a lot in the world if the right leadership emerged. It would be in a totally different energy. So this is a conversation that's really important to me, because I've seen what it can do, and it's mind-boggling. It honestly doesn't make sense how much of a shift it can create in a person's life to understand these fundamental things. And if you come from a household where your parents weren't necessarily leaders, if you come from a household where both parents had a job and they were more so just told what to do and told you had to do what you were told and make sure you got a good education, make sure you do what you're told in life, you were not groomed as a leader from a young age. You were more so told to be well behaved and organized and well done. Like this is not leadership. It's more so like discipline, which is a beautiful skill, but it's very different than leadership. Thank you, Samantha. So good to see some of you. I'm seeing names I haven't seen in such a long time. Sandra, Sandy, so good to see you. So if you've been told from a very young age to behave, your individuality hasn't really been cultivated. Your exploration hasn't really been cultivated. And now it's like there's this gorgeous opportunity for you to do something beyond your wildest dreams, and you're just afraid you're going to misbehave and wreck it all. And it's like, that's not it anymore. This is the paradigm now, and I work with a lot of women in my work. My work is a majority of women that I work with. And women have this paradox where it's just constantly trying to be well-behaved in order to be liked. Just either trying to be well-behaved in order to be liked, or just being so mad at that whole system that they become abrasive and rough because they don't know what freedom feels like. It's either trapped or abrasive so that they never get trapped. They don't really understand personal empowerment at all. It really is either complying or rebelling, but there is no sovereignty or just being whatever they want to be. They're either complying or pushing against, which is being trapped either way. And so what we're really wanting to do here is to just cultivate a new way of leadership, of self-leadership, where if we can really start to create this as a way of being, or not to say the wrong thing to offend. And so it's the people pleasing, it's the being really, really nice. And being really nice will put a lid on anybody's greatness. It's like you can be good or you can be great. You want to be nice, you can be kind, but you want to be nice to everybody. Like there's a limit to how many people you can hold in your life if you need to be nice to everybody. What if you don't have time? What if you're busy? What if you've got a meeting? What if you can't get back to someone right away? That's not very nice. So you're going to cap and limit yourself every step of the way. And so it's been like managing, remaining a good person and being kind and being true to myself, while also creating incredible boundaries where it's like, nope, this is not going to fly. It's not going to pass. I don't tolerate that. No. Words that I just didn't know how to say with confidence. I didn't know how to say, this is not tolerable and it's going to be a no, like this doesn't work for me. I didn't know how to do that unless I had to push against kindness so far that then I would be angry, mean, rude. Like there was no middle of just empowered no. I didn't know how to do that, not really. And same thing with the yes. There was only the yes. Yes, I'm nice, eh? Yes, I said yes. Are you happy? See, I didn't want to say yes, and I'm not happy that I said yes because I hate it. But because for you, so that you like me, I said yes. Are you happy? Instead of like, yes, because it worked for me. Aren't you lucky it worked for me? Let's go. Yay, Mary, I'm so happy. I'm so excited for another year with you. So it feels like you can be successful to a certain extent because of your intelligence. You can be successful because of your energy. You can be successful because of your innovation. You can be successful because, that's so awesome. You can be successful because you're creative or artsy, or there's something about you that's really good. You can achieve a certain level of success like that, but you're going to cap yourself where leadership is concerned. Because if you're going to be needing anyone's help to leverage that greatness, from being really good on your own to being extraordinarily great, you're going to have to manage yourself around people. If you're people pleasing everybody, you won't be able to manage to grow beyond a certain amount. There's got to be kindness and boundaries. And if you're not able to hold your own in a conversation and set firm boundaries with the people who are working with you or for you, you're going to get taken advantage of. We can't have that either. It's like there's so many pieces of the puzzle. If you're going to be paying people to do jobs and they're not doing them effectively, it doesn't matter how much you pay a person, you can't pay them to care. Leadership creates that. You cannot pay a person enough to care. And so if people are just doing surface level their jobs, you've got to have 4 employees to do what one person can do when they care. You're exhausted. Your finances are dwindling. Nobody really cares. You've got to hold the whole thing on your shoulders. Companies crash. It's like it's the narrative of the planet. Companies crash. It lasts 5 years, it lasts 3 years, and then it crashes. It's all based on credit. You invest millions in hopes that it'll work, and if you don't make your money back in 3 to 5 years, close the doors. It's not self-sustaining. It's not people who connect with the right people and rise. It really just is wish for the best, hope for the best, and hope for a miracle. And that's just an unfortunate truth in business, is that we focus, in my opinion, we focus on things that are very mathematic and not so much things that are relationship. Like the main currency in business is relationships, and leadership is a relationship modality. Leadership is the art of relationships, and the greatest currency in business is relationships. It's who you know, and it's who knows you, and it's how you treat who you know, and it's how who knows you remembers you, and how you were able to have a conversation that was difficult and still be friends, and how you're able to have conversations that are empowering, and how that's all that it is in the end. Longevity in business is all about relationships and sustainable connection between people, and we're not taught to do that effectively at all, I don't think. So this is something that I really believe in, and it's something that I hold so dear to my heart. When I look at the evolution of my brand over the last few years, everything has grown. The amount of people that I'm able to serve in a program has grown. The amount of people I can hold in a mastermind has grown. The amount of private clients I hold has grown. The amount of core team members in the Alpha Femme team has grown. The amount of employees in the Alpha Femme team has grown. Everything has grown. And then I started being a digital nomad when I first started this company. I lived nowhere. I just lived out of suitcases and traveled the world. Now I have 3 houses. Everything has grown. There's people who are remodeling stuff. We've got other companies. We've got real estate companies. We've got our lawyers. We've got our trademark lawyers. We've got the amount of people that are connected to us at this point. It's beyond. There's so many connections. Juggling all those relationships with respect when things are hard, being able to have difficult conversations, being disappointed and not burning everything to the ground, being able to be solid. I would not be able to hold everything I hold right now had I not learned this. And the unfortunate thing is you don't want to learn it once you have to learn it, because then it's usually too late. And if I would have only learned leadership once I needed leadership, a lot would have broken down in those moments. I needed to have already had those leadership codes so that when I needed them and when it was time for them, I was just like, boop, yep. Like, I've got that, like Mary Poppins pulling out the perfect thing out of my bag. Like, thank goodness I learned this over the years, because had I been faced with, oh, maybe I should learn leadership now, it would have been a few steps forward and a few steps back and a few steps forward and a few steps back. And so what made a difference was always being able to rise to the occasion. Something difficult happened. I realized I had a skill in my subconscious, pulled it out. And then something more difficult would happen. I realized I'd cultivated that skill too, and I took that out. And so if you're thinking you want to do something really big on the planet, I did a masterclass a few years ago, and it was called Electrum, the Electrum Masterclass. And the idea behind the masterclass, this was also like a kind of a webinar thing to present alpha to alpha. But the idea was to talk about Electrum, which is the gold and silver. And so it's the gold and silver of leadership. And what I talked about was the 1% and the 11% of people that are extraordinary leaders on the planet. And how we talk so much about the 1%, but we don't often talk about the 11% of leadership, which I think is interesting. Because I think that way before we ever try to be the 1%, our job is to at least fit in that 11%. And so the difference is like the 1%, let's say in my industry, would be like Tony Robbins, Oprah, Gabby Bernstein, Bob Proctor, people where you say the name and people are like, oh yeah, of course. I know this person. It's like, you can't not know this person. They're the 1%. And there's a 1% in every industry. There's a 1% in sports, and there's a 1% in acting, and a 1% in music, and a 1% in investing, and a 1% in fitness industries, and 1% in competitive this and this and that. There's a 1% everywhere. And for the people who are very much inspired by that certain category, whether it's sports, arts, whatever it is, business, they're very well aware of who that 1% is. And so that 1% is a big responsibility, though. It's like you walk into a place and everybody knows who you are. You walk into a hotel lobby and people are like, oh, look, that's that person. Oh, look, that's that person. Oh, look, like that's that person. Like, we walked into the Four Seasons in Paris and Steve Harvey was in the lobby. And I was like, oh, that's Steve Harvey. Like, and everybody was kind of like that, Steve Harvey. But there was a few people who recognized me. There was a couple of people that were recognizing me when I was in Paris. But it wouldn't be that every room I walked in, people would be like, oh my gosh, that's Melanie Ann Layer at that table. Although it did happen when I was at the spa that, someone was like, are you at the spa at the Four Seasons in Paris? How? I think I just saw you. I bumped into a client on the street that was like, oh my God. Like, it still happens, but it's not like every single person would just know, did you see right there? The way it would be if you were at a restaurant and Oprah was sitting at the table next to you, you'd be like, or like Beyonce is sitting next to me right there. Look, right there. Can you see? There's Brad Pitt. You would, it'd just be undeniable, and the whole restaurant would be weird. Like, that's the 1%, but it comes with a lot of responsibility. It means you walk into a room and everybody knows who you are. You got to be prepared and have a ball cap and sunglasses everywhere you go in case you're not in the mood to sign someone's t-shirt, right? But this 11% is a very interesting percentage. These are people who are very successful, very wealthy, very known and connected, but not famous. So it could be like this person has bought 35 Kentucky Fried Chickens. They have a lot of connection, a lot of wealth, a lot of real estate, a lot of knowledge, but I would not be able to tell you what their name is. And I would not notice them or know them in a crowd. But if they were to speak on stage at a conference and talk about the fact that they own 35 Kentucky Fried Chickens, people would be like, well, that's a pretty big deal. This is the person who created the blah, blah, blah company. And you're like, oh, really? I've heard of that company, but never heard of that person before in my life. The 11%, where your leadership creates a ripple effect on the planet, but you don't necessarily end up in the spotlight. And so there are some people who are really drawn to that 1%. And there's a lot of people who are really drawn to that 11%. And I think we're so pushed, it's ingrained so deeply into us that to be successful, we've got to be part of the 1%, that we forget this whole other place where leadership can take us everywhere. Like I was saying to Kevin when we were in Paris, I don't just want to be famous. I'm not yet there in my life where what I just want is to be famous. I want to be known and connected and loved by the right people. I want that when I walk into my favorite restaurant, I'm able to create with my own connection, heart and spirit. I want the right people that matter to me in that moment to connect with me there. Not because they saw me somewhere and they should like me and so they do, or they should hate me and so they do, but more so they have no idea who I am until they talk to me, but very rapidly they click with me. Like I would far prefer that. I prefer to have impact and influence and create relationships and to be able to be the best client everywhere I go, because money isn't an object and I can literally just say, you know, I can tip the waiters 100%. Like my favorite thing in the world is to just be the greatest client, have the best time at a restaurant, have the best experience, and then when I leave, I tip the waiter 100%, or I tip the waiter $1,000, and to just have the waiter come back sometimes be like, was this a mistake? You're like, nope, or literally be gone before they even have a chance to notice and wonder how the whole thing went down. But that's fun for me. Like be the greatest client, tip big, like. But don't necessarily have people decide as you walk into a room whether you're good or bad based on what they know or don't know about you. And so this is all leadership, and it's like success has historically had a bad name, not because of the 11%, but because of people's projections on the 1%. It's a lot of pressure to be that 1%, because people have an opinion about how you should be doing everything that you do. But in the 11%, people don't necessarily know everything about you. Most of the world, like there's a segment of the world about this big that knows who I am. Most of the world does not. It would be a surprise to most people on the planet to have someone tip them, to have me tip them a big amount, or to have me be this great client that ends up buying everything I want on a trip to Chanel, or, you know, whatever it is that I like. I love that because it makes it that I get the real heart-centered service. I give real heart-centered connection. I receive real heart-centered connection. I'm able to give above and beyond what I've ever wanted. And that actually gives me a lot of freedom. And I've done that, Lynn, and it's the best feeling in the world. When people have posted GoFundMes and things like that about certain things, I've often just anonymously paid for whatever the balance was. And so, but I wouldn't have been able to do that before. And now I can, but I know that people that are very successful, sometimes it gives money a bad name. It gives money a bad name because you didn't give what you should have given. And when I asked for money, you said no. And when I said you should give me this, you said no. Meanwhile, the person who's invisible is never asked, but gives and gives and gives and gives. And so I realized that actually I love the 11%. I don't know if one day it'll be my responsibility to elevate beyond where I am right now. I've done something really amazing, but I'm not in the 1% of the planet. I'm not a billionaire. I haven't done the 1% kind of stuff, but I've done some 11% kind of stuff. And I've been able to make a big difference for a lot of people's lives on the planet. And I make an impact on my clients' lives, and I make an impact on my employees' lives, and I lead my company with my entire heart and soul, and I make sure that when I go places, I'm the kind of client that I dream of, and I've been able to create that identity as I've led myself through the years. And that doesn't just come like that. It doesn't. You know, money, maybe money can come fast, and I see so many people talk about that. It doesn't need to be hard, and you can make money fast. And I believe to a certain extent that's true, but that's not how I built my company. This isn't about just money for me. It's about money being the byproduct of the people we become. It's about when we actually receive all the money that we dreamed of and more, that's not even the best part about our life. That literally everything else is so beautiful that when the money comes, it was just like, I built an extraordinary life and then I added money. And so everything works together. And leadership, it's the key. To have a person that can connect you to the person that can connect you to the person. So often, it's the network you're in that will create the opportunities. But what if you're not a leader? Then what type of network will you attract? You'll attract a network of equal power. There's nothing wrong with that unless you wish you were attracting a different network. And that's what I see often is people bringing a certain level of leadership to the table, wishing they were a part of a huge, powerful leadership network. It's like, that's not going to happen. Not with this current level of leadership that you have. I can't tell you how many people I've I've met that have decided to come into my private containers that are like, I have made a lot of money, but I don't have the kind of life I thought I'd have with all the money. I don't have the connections to get the best tables in the restaurants. I don't have the network of connected friends that would get me into the right rooms. I don't get invited to the events. I don't get invited to the parties. I don't know a person who knows a person. Like, I don't know how to do that. And I've realized that money can't buy you that. It's like we're told so often in our lives, money can't buy you happiness. Money can't buy you happiness. But the thing is, it's more than that. It's like money can't buy you love. And money can't buy you relationships. And so what are you going to do when you're trying to get yourself, it's like, oh, I'm going to pay $1 million to get the best table in the house. And like, that's all you're going to do. You're going to buy your friends. You're going to buy your impact. You're going to buy your influence. You're going to buy your followers. You're going to buy your everything. It's such a lonely life. You don't trust anybody. You're just like, oh, nobody really wants to be with me. Nobody really wants to spend time with me. Nobody really wants to give to me. That's not fun. And so when you build your greatness with leadership at the forefront, there's this incredible experience of knowing that what you've built is real. And the people who've chosen you, they really chose you. And the people that do life with you is because they want to do life with you. They're not just with you because of your money and just because of your success. As a matter of fact, many of them don't even know how great you are. What I've loved doing in my business, and it's been so fun to do this, I hear people complain on social media about like social media is dangerous because it's a highlight reel. And people are only showing the best of their life. And I'm like, for me, social media is literally the tip of the iceberg of my life. Most of my life is under the radar, invisible. I tell things to my private clients, my mastermind clients, that the world doesn't know. My life is the greatest freaking thing. I don't showcase the best of my life. I showcase pieces of my life as it pertains to my business and as it makes sense for the programs and the current level that I sell to the masses. I sure as heck don't share my entire life on social media. The best of it is invisible. The best of it, the best nights of my life, I wasn't even allowed to take pictures. It was like, sorry, you can't take pictures at this place. It's like, okay. Oh, you can't post anything about this. You definitely can't tag anybody in this, and you definitely can't take a picture. Okay. There's a life far beyond proof in this world. And I've realized as I work with manifestation and leadership, these are the two biggest things where proof doesn't matter. Energy does. I could have the best night of my life and it will result in magic in my business, in my relationships, not because I showed people that I had the best life, but because of what it did to my energy. Manifestation is all about faith in the thing not yet seen. It's all about faith in something without evidence. Marsha Schaefer, body of me. Yay, thank you, Kevin. I'm so excited. It's all about the faith. It's all about the thing you don't see. It's all about the thing you don't know. It's always about that. And so I've started to think to myself, if the most successful, extraordinary parts of life are actually most of the things you don't see. You look at the most successful people on the planet, they're not showing you the play-by-play of their entire life. People, oh, my phone told me I'm low on battery, so I'm going to start to wrap this up. But you're going to see the people who are really successful in this life, like the celebrities. They're not giving you a play-by-play of every second of their life on social media. They're not going to give you everything that they've lived today on a highlight reel on Instagram. It's like there's going to be one little post that's going to show up once in a blue moon, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this one post of this person in front of a monument, or this one post about something. Not a lot. It's not about proving that you're powerful, proving that you're successful, proving that you're rich, proving. As a matter of fact, I feel when you feel the need to do that, it's usually because you're so afraid people wouldn't know unless you proved it. And if you're so afraid that people wouldn't know unless you proved it, it's because you don't actually feel like you embody it. Because I wouldn't need to prove that I'm a woman every day of my life. I wouldn't have to prove that I speak English every day of my life. I wouldn't need to prove that I have ears or a nose. I wouldn't find the need to prove those things. But if I'm afraid that you don't believe that I'm a woman, and I'm afraid that you don't believe I have ears, then I might be tugging on them. I promise, they're real. Like, why? Do people want to show so much proof? Is because we live in a world where energy speaks louder than any other thing. And if you're not embodied, you feel you need to prove. So let's just be embodied and let the people sell themselves out with their need to overprove. And let us just celebrate and have fun and live our best lives. But that's all leadership. That's all leadership and self-confidence and self-esteem. And it's something that's so real and so innate. It can't be faked. It can't be pushed. It can't be prodded. It's like, it's who you are. And if it's not who you are, then it's not who you are. It's one of those things you cannot lie about. You just are or you're not. And the world feels it. And that's why it's such an important skill to cultivate, because you just it's either important to you to be it and to have it, or it's not. And you wear that and on every fiber of you. It's just who you are, or it's just not. And so if you're building big things in your life, if you've got big dreams on the agenda, if there's a million things you want to create, you might get in your head thinking you're not good enough, or you don't know how, or you might think it happens to other people but not you, or you might think all kinds of things where the cheapest way out would be to look for the quick fix, like what do you need to do and what do you need to say and how do you get the this and how do you get approved to the this and that. And it's like the quick fix thing. Most people just want the quick fix thing. But when you stretch your context a little bit and you're like, you know what the actual issue is in all this? Is that I really don't see myself as one of those people's miracles just happened to. I actually don't. When I hear of all the stories of all the people that made miracles happen, there's not one piece of that where I think it could happen to me. Not really. I can wish it and I can want it. But when it really boils down to it, me, myself, and God, at the end of the day, when I close my eyes and I pray for it, I don't actually believe it. When when the rubber meets the road and it's like, if it can happen for them, it can happen for me, the real honest resonance in my body is like, probably not. And that's the issue. And so how do we become more confident in ourselves? How do we actually give ourselves all the validation we've been seeking from other people our entire lives and actually claim ourselves, to lead ourselves and to follow ourselves into the direction of our dreams? How do we cultivate that kind of power? How do we cultivate that kind of direction? How do we cultivate this kind of certainty that I'm going to give this to myself because I can't ask anybody else to give it to me. They're too busy looking for it themselves. This is something I got to make for me. And I don't think we have these conversations enough. Just the conversations have the power to change things. So if you've been in this conversation with me and this activates something in you where you realize, like, when I talk about this kind of stuff, it does something magical to me. I'm telling you, it's a real thing. This work, it does something to us. And what happens is when you get this fire that lights your spark, which means you already know you're meant to do something great, or else you probably wouldn't have come into this live stream in the first place. But you've got something inside of you. The spark's already lit. And then I come in here with my fire and all of a sudden it's like, whoom. You just caught the fire. Your spark just lit. Then what are you capable of doing in the next few minutes after that? And if you have a lot of leadership the next day or 2 days or 3 days after that, what can you do in the space between these bursts of fire? And yeah, sometimes it helps when we're not yet fully self-sustained as a flame on our own, but we've got the spark to hang out with people that spread the flame fully. Of course, it's helpful to say, when I spend time with you, I feel like I literally pick the world, put it on my shoulders, and run a marathon. This is good for me. It is good for us. We don't want to rely on it. The goal is that we become more and more self-led as we go, but these are the kinds of conversations that make a difference. You may be overgiving in so many areas of your life. You may be constantly trying to motivate people, constantly trying to inspire people, not from a leadership perspective, but more from like a mothering perspective, or like I'm coming in to help and support and hold you. I'm going to pull you up. I'm going to push you up. I'm going to pull you. I'm going to do it. I'm going to help you. And at the end of the day, you're completely exhausted. And now it's time to do something for you. And you're like, tomorrow. And so having these conversations that light you up might actually give you a window of space to do the things that are important for your dreams to come true, and might actually give you the strength it takes to put boundaries down and to tell the people that love your lack of boundaries so much that things are going to be changing around here and we're not messing around anymore. Like, there's conversations that need to be had. There's moves that need to be made. There's self-ownership. There's declarations and decisions for big moves. There's moving out of the good person. You're such a good person. You're such a nice person. You're such a nice girl. You're such a nice girl. Such a good boy. Moving into that, from that into like, this person is great. Like, you are extraordinary. You are great. Do you even know? Like, you are extraordinary. Like, there's so much more to us than being a good person, like a nice person. Like, we're gonna be all that because that's who we are. But if that accolade and that applause stops us on our way to greatness, we miss out in the end. It's like, being nice is cute, but what else? Is that what it's gonna say at the end of our lives on our tombstone? Melanie Ann Layer. Nice. She was nice. We're so grateful. Like, I've got so much more than that. And if you know you've got so much more than that, then these kinds of conversations start to feel like a stirring. They're like, okay, I gotta move. And when you're aware of that and you don't move, then there's issues, because now it's like, what's wrong? Why can't I move? There's nothing wrong. You've just been conditioned your whole life that you can say, I'm gonna move, and people go, congratulations, thank you for being so brave and vulnerable for saying you're gonna move, and then you do nothing because the applause or the booby prize. I got tons of applause for saying I would do something. I didn't do it, but if enough time passes between now and the next time I declare it, I might get another round of applause next time I declare it. Let's do the things we say we're gonna do. Let's start moving things. Let's start doing things. And I know for sure that, this might inspire you for a night and you might forget it tomorrow. I know that. But on the odd chance that it inspires you today and that you actually do something about it, I think these conversations are important, and in the right context, they make a huge difference. Like, I just turned 35 on the 25th of November. I was bankrupt when I was 25. When I was 25, I went bankrupt and I was sleeping in the front seat of my Honda Civic. When it comes to February of this year, will be 10 years since then. 10 years since I was sleeping in a snowstorm in the front seat of my Honda Civic. 10 years. What happened in a freaking decade is I learned to lead myself, and I learned to understand the power of the people around me. That it wasn't just about making it on my own and showing people I could do it on my own. I thought that's what strength was. I thought strength was, I did it by myself. And now I realize strength is, I was one of those who did it together. I was able to hold my power even when people even grander than me walked beside me. I was able to walk shoulder to shoulder with people who before would have made me feel not good enough. I was able to walk shoulder to shoulder with people before would have made me feel good about myself to diminish. I learned to walk shoulder to shoulder with people and to see their power, equal power, but different. And I'm not a person who does it alone. As a matter of fact, I've built the most beautiful army of extraordinary people, and we march together with our heels in the same direction, and we go places. And I go further because of them, and they go further because of me, and we collaborate and we cultivate the most extraordinary world together. That is far more powerful. And I did this all by myself. And I don't trust anybody. And I don't like anybody. And I did this all by myself. And I'm very proud of me. And don't let anybody try to get any of the credit for me being this all myself, because it's all by myself. It's like, together we rise. Around me, people rise. We do more. We become more. The relationships thrive around me, companies thrive around me, people thrive around me, leadership thrives around me, more money, more success, more celebrations, more love, more friendships, more connection, everything flourishes around me. I'm far more proud of that. But that is a leadership conversation. It's all a leadership conversation. And when you own your own business and you've got people that work with you and they feel belittled by you because the only thing you know to do is either make people feel smaller than you or you feel smaller than people, everyone will always feel smaller than you if you're the boss. And I don't know about you, but I've worked for far too many companies where that was the truth, where it literally felt like the boss enjoyed being the boss because it was the one place on earth where they could be better than everybody else. And they loved to prove that day in and day out, that they were the boss. It was the most painful experience. To have that as a leader is actually harmful. Very rarely have I seen leaders truly embody this, like, it's an honor for you to work for me. Actually, I've never experienced that as an employee. It's an honor for you to work for me. And that's how I feel about all my employees. And I think that only happens with absolute confidence, because I know that my team could choose to work for any other company and they choose Alpha Femme. That's an honor and a privilege. But I know this because they're the greatest people. I literally have the greatest employees, all of them. I'm always like, how the heck did I manifest you? You're amazing. And so I understand their value. And I know that they know, like, I know that we're on the same page. I would never devalue them or try to break them down so they have no self-confidence. I'm constantly building them up. And I also know that doing that might mean that they could leave. I also have a feeling they won't, because we're doing great things together. That's such a different business model. the whole thing we're doing is unseen. It's a whole new world. It's completely different, and it's really fun. And so I've been blabbing for quite a while now, but I hope there's nuggets of this that are going to make a difference in your life. Whether this helps you really love your employees, like really see it as an honor and a privilege for the people who work with you, that choose you as the dream that they want to build. Like, I'm seeing some of my team watching right now from their personal profiles. Like, the type of team that you're not afraid to tell them, I don't know what I'd do without you, and you're freaking incredible. Like, to really empower people and know, yeah, they could leave, and then letting yourself actually realize how lucky you are. Building a team of people that it's as much of an honor for you to have them as it is for them to have you. That's a rare thing on the planet. People are always complaining about their employees or their boss. It's like the running thing. Employees never do anything. I'm like, I don't know where your people are from, but my people are great. It's like, bosses, my boss. I don't know, but I literally only ever get messages like, I love my boss. And I'm like, yay. Like, it's so different to have clients that feel like, I mean, we took them because they're supposed to be the best, but whatever, versus like, gosh, I love this, and I'm so grateful that I found you, and I love our work together. It's a whole other world. It's a whole other world. And so many people struggle with low self-confidence. So many people struggle with low self-esteem, but we're literally completely surrounded by people who also have low self-esteem, who are just trying to make themselves feel better. And same as what I explained on my post that I made on my page recently, it's like there's this paradox of the paradox is either I'm better than you, like I'm superior to you, or I'm inferior to you. And so I either need to make sure I'm surrounded by people that I'm better than, or that I feel better than, or if not, I'm not good enough. And so what are my choices in that kind of life? I'm either the smartest person in the room, in which case I'm very proud to be surrounded by people I think are dumber than me, which, can we just talk about how awful that is? Or it's, I choose that I'm going to be successful. I'm going to put myself in a room where everybody's better than me, except I'm going to experience that as I'm the weakest, dumbest, incapable person in the room every day of my life. That's not healthy for me. So in this paradox, that the leading edge paradox of leadership on the planet, we're all kind of messed up a little bit, because I'm either better than everyone, or everyone's better than me. And so either way, I don't really belong, and I don't really get what I want, because belonging has boiled down to being admired and loved. And so I only feel like I belong if I'm better than everybody. And so what kind of rooms are we putting ourselves in? It's like the whole thing's a mess. So if we want to do something different, we've got to do something different. And I'm on a mission to doing different things. Things that change the conversation on this planet, things that change businesses, that change people's experience of being an employee. If you want to have employees in your business, can you imagine you can literally reshape the employer paradigm? We could change during our lifetime the funny conversation about hating your boss, where people actually feel so grateful that we're willing to go first and build incredible companies where it's safe to be an employee for us. Like, we could build that. How incredible of an opportunity is that? There's so much opportunity, is what I'm trying to say. So wherever this live takes us, I'm just grateful I met you. Again, if you feel this live was beneficial and someone could get something from this, please share. Share it on your personal timeline. I'm going to be sharing it to Instagram also. If you do share, let me know that you did in the comment section. My team's going to grab your name. Next time I go live, I'm going to be doing a draw, and the person who gets pulled from the draw will manifest this beautiful crystal water bottle from my Alpha Femme collection. It's actually a black obsidian crystal, and the matte black lid, it's all soft and fabulous. And it's got the black obsidian crystal, and you fill it with your water, it charges the water, and then you drink it, and you get all the magic properties of the black obsidian. So it's quite magical. All you need to do is share and let me know in the comments that you've shared, and then my team will grab your name, and next time I go live, I'll pull this beautiful water bottle. If it feels like sharing doesn't feel aligned, but you feel like there's someone that needs to hear this, you have like a specific person, share it to them directly in their inbox or tag them in the comments. The only way we end up finding the people that are meant for us in this life is through people. That's why networking is so important. That's why leadership is so important. We find what we need through the people that know us, that love us, that care about us. And so my entire business was built through sharing and asking people to share my words and my work. And I've always been connected to the right people, and I trust in this way. I feel like the people who are meant to hear my words always do. And so if it feels like you got something from this and you want to share it, please do. It means the world to me. If this is the first time I ever met you on this live stream, thank you so much for being connected to me. Add me as a friend or follow. I'm also on Instagram, AlphaFem on Instagram. So let's stay connected. Thank you for being here. If you're interested in the Alpha to Alpha program, you can message the AlphaFem team, or you can just DM me directly. We could probably pin the link here as well, but just DM me for the link. Right now it's $3,333. Unless you're in the Renaissance, then DM the AlphaFem team either way, and you'll get the right link for you if you want to join us. Thank you, Suzanne. I love you so much. Thank you, everyone, for having been on here. It's been a pleasure. Kimberly, Vanessa, I saw you both with your love bubbles, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you for everything, and I will see you very soon.